Hello, hello, world.
Hello, Brira. Brian Potts,
How you doing,
my
Bernardo?
brother. Fine.
Good to see you again, man.
How's the north?
Oh, the north is just fine. It's not too cold up here in Miami.
Okay.
How about you down there? How's the
I
south?
mean, I'm the south. I'm in Rio de Janeiro, and I cannot go to the street so much. But it's a good weather, not
There you
so
go.
hot.
At least you can look out the window and it's nice.
Yeah.
It's the same thing here in Miami. From what I can see from inside my house, it looks like a beautiful day. So we're here today to hang out again with one of our favorite people today, Magda Giannikou, who we had the pleasure of hanging out with in your city in Rio last year. And I'm sure we're going to talk a
Yeah.
ton about. She's one of my favorite musicians and one of my favorite people as well too. So it's going to be a lot of fun to talk with her about the three of us hanging out and what we got into last summer and just Forró in general because it's such a huge influence on her and her music.
It's nice because you were the guy who convinced her to come to Brazil, right?
Yeah, that's true.
You speak a
I'm an
lot, and
evangelist. I am a self-proclaimed Brazil evangelist,
right.
and I've been fishing trying to get people to come for years and years, and she's one of the fish who bit.
Because just words is hard to explain, right? What
It's
happened here.
impossible. But you know what I
So,
did? And
what?
maybe we'll talk about this story, but I'll set it up a little bit. Is I was there with you in Carnival the year before. So we're talking 2018 or 2019, I guess.
Pinto no lixo, pig in the trash, right? Brian's
Chick,
chick in the trash.
it's
Here,
pig and
pi-
shit, really. It's pig and shit.
Okay.
Pinto no lixo, this is a good phrase. We're teaching Portuguese here as well, too. Pinto no lixo means chick in the trash, literally. And I think the English translation for that is a pig and shit. And
Brian is a pig in the shit
I am a
here
pig in
in the
shit.
carnival.
When I'm in Carnival, I am a total pig and shit in the best sense possible. And we were marching with Talish, Acabou Meu Doce, that bloco. Yeah.
Nice.
You remember that one vaguely?
Yeah.
And when we stopped in front of that house and we all sang Carinhoso to that family as they were standing above me. We can go into the story with her because it was so good. But I shared that video with her, and I think that was, she even said it to me, like, that's the moment I was convinced that I needed to go to Brazil. So it wasn't even my words.
Right.
It was just a dumb cell phone video that did it.
Right.
But we were able to bring her down and hang out and go see some music and go see some the countryside of Brazil as far as the country that you can go inside of Rio, going into the park and the forest and all that sort of stuff. So it was really beautiful. And we got to play with a really incredible Forró band that I'm sure we're going to talk about a little bit as well too, Sexteto Sucupira. And that kind of brings us around to the topic for today. We're going to talk a little bit about Forró. And Forró is a Brazilian style that I think a lot of people may know without even knowing what the name is,
Right.
because for sure the word baião gets thrown around a lot. Like even like in drum set methods here in the United States, you will see you got to learn samba, you got to learn bossa nova, and then the third variant, this crazy rhythm, is called baião. And I think what a lot of people don't know is that baião is part of a much larger universe
Yeah.
of Forró.
Yeah.
Of,
Like as we have salsa, and there is many subgenres. Samba the same. I think forró we can say the same. There is forró and there is many rhythms inside this word.
yeah, because you can imagine it. Because a Forró is not only a style of music; it's like an event, right? It's you go to a Forró, right?
Exact.
So you go to a Forró and you dance, and it's a bunch of different styles of music that are all within this universe of Forró, different tempos, different feels, that kind of thing. And those bands just keep playing. They go and they go and they go. And in a
In
traditional,
general, people dance together, right?
yeah, it's always in pairs. It's kind of a ballroom dance sort of thing, but less formal than that. It's by real people, having a real experience, and it's something really incredible to behold. Especially like when you see it traditionally, and you just have like three people up there: zabumba, triangulo, sanfona, which is accordion. So zabumba is a bass drum, triangulo is a triangle, and then accordion, sanfona, and 3 of them singing in harmony, and that's the band. And you can have a room of like 500-600 people just jamming to that music and dancing all night long, which is incredible. And then there's other variants where you have bigger versions of that, like sucupira, that we'll talk about later for sure. But it's an experience, man. I still remember my first one. I think the first one I went to was in Sao Paulo. I can't remember the name of the place, but it was a traditional one like that where you just had 3 guys, and I was just, how are these guys just murdering this room? just the 3 of them. It's
I
incredible.
miss Forró, my friend. I miss Forró.
Me too. Wednesday nights will come again. Nights will
I
come
hope.
again. So let's jump into a little bit of Forró within the context of the Pandeiro Moderno method. We cover that a lot in the method. There's a whole, universe of northeastern Brazilian music. Forró generally is, derived from the northeast of Brazil. And one of the subsets that we cover is Forró, and within that we cover coco, baião, chachado, xote, all these different styles. And again, in the method, this is another one of those instances where we're showing you an adaptation of this rhythm. So rather than like this is the traditional pandeiro pattern for a xote, what this is pandeiro playing a xote through the new technique, through the modern technique, and emulating not just what the pandeiro is playing, but emulating what the zabumba is playing, what the triangle is playing, to bring in the whole thing. So what one do you have for us here today, Bernardo? Which one did you got queued up?
Let's share a little bit of the difference between 3 rhythms. One is baião, other is chachado, and other is coco de forró. Because it's very similar, and in general, a lot of people who plays forró doesn't know the difference. So let's talk about it. Our method is for pandeiro players, for developed pandeiro, but we also include many things about cultural aspects.
Yeah, it's a great way to learn about Brazilian music in general. So let's dive into it a little bit and see the difference between these rhythms.
Vamos ver agora uma maneira de explicar a diferença entre coco de forró, baião e chachado. Nos 3 casos, a gente vai estar seguindo esse padrão, essa clave. A maneira que eu aprendi de fazer essa distinção foi com o grande Durval Pereira. A diferenciação que ele faz é bem simples de ser entendida na zabumba. O zabumba é aquele instrumento que parece um pouco surdo, e que tem uma pele, tem 2 peles. Uma em que a gente extrai sons graves e outra que a gente extrai sons médios. Som grave é extraído a partir de uma maceta. E a gente pode ter o grave aberto, pum, 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 ou o grave fechado. Pi, pi, pi. E aqui na mão esquerda a gente tem o bacalhau, que é uma baqueta bem fina, pá, 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 que é estalado, tem um som, nos traz um som estalado, uma vez percutida na pele de resposta da zabumba. Então temos, a zabumba é um instrumento que faz tu pa pa tu pa pa tu pa pa tu pa pa tu. Então vamos lá, vamos pegar a clave, né? Que eu falei, a clave básica. Quando a gente abre o grave no primeiro desses toques da clave, pum, 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 pi, pum, pi, pum, pi, pá, pum, pi, pá, pum, pi, pá, pum. Esse é o coco de forró. Quando a gente abre na segunda nota dessa clave, esse é o baião. E quando a gente abre no terceiro desses toques, Esse é o chachado. Provavelmente vocês vão encontrar outras explicações para fazer essa diferenciação entre esses três ritmos. Eu estou usando aqui essa explicação que eu aprendi com o grande Durval Pereira. E aí, para adaptar esses ritmos para o pandeiro, eu estou usando a técnica de mudança de tom. Então, pegando a clave, né? Quando eu deixar a nota mais grave no primeiro toque da clave, eu vou ter o quê? O coco de forró. Quando eu deixar a nota mais grave no segundo toque da clave, eu vou ter o quê? Baião. Quando eu deixar o terceiro toque da clave com um som mais grave, eu vou ter o quê? O chachado.
Yeah, man. Nice. That's a really clear explanation of what that is, and I think in the context of the music, sometimes it's really hard to tell because there's a lot of the same instrumentation it's the exact same instrumentation for all three of those styles, right? But there's a little bit of difference in the zabumba, and there's a little bit of difference in, in the melody as well too, and the stylistic, everything else that's happening. But you can hear it really clearly on the zabumba, and what Durval said there was really, really helpful. And Bernardo, you're going to have to unmute your microphone if you're going to give us some wisdom.
Pronto. Yeah, because of the system of Brazilian music, sometimes we don't have in books or explanations. Like you just ask Durval to play, he'll play, and he'll feel when to apply this or that rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
But to make a reason and write, and it's a little bit we don't find so much. So I think it's nice, this method. We could also talk about some of these aspects.
Now let me ask you this: is if you're playing, are there certain songs that are always coco and certain songs that are always baião, and you don't really like mix them between? It's not like you can, I'm going to do this in a baião, I'm going to do this in a coco. It's like this song is always coco.
Yeah, for example, for Durval, who is a guy who is really from forró world, it's natural, completely natural.
Yeah.
It's like if it's baião, it's baião. It's coco, is coco,
It's
But
obvious.
of course, if he's being creative and trying to make arrangements, he can change for one and the other. But traditional, there is this or that way, very clear for them.
Excellent. Yeah, it's incredible music. What's a good? So if people haven't heard Forró, what's a good introduction? I know there's that Gilberto Gil album that has the Ao Vivo one,
The whole album is forró.
and it goes to a ton of different
I
styles.
think, yeah,
Yeah, from that movie, right?
exactly.
Yeah, beautiful. So go check out some Forró. Go dance in your room even if you can't get out right now. This is important. All right, so let's get to the guest. I'm done with you, Bernardo. I need some fresh blood in here.
Right.
Let's bring in Magda here. I think we're gonna set her up with something. Yeah.
Let's put some music before.
Sure,
just
of course. All right, we can't bring a guest on without music. This is a professional show here. Come on.
Yeah.
What do you got lined up?
I love this
beautiful.
one.
Yeah.
I love this one.
Fantastic. Let's go.
Va subiendo la corriente con chinchorro y atarraya, la canoa de Bareque para llegar a la playa. Va subiendo la corriente con chinchorro y atarraya, la canoa de Bareque para llegar a la playa. El pescador,
Habla con la luna,
el pescador,
habla con la playa.
el pescador.
No tiene fortuna, solo su atarraya. La luna espera sonriente con su mágico esplendor la llegada del valiente y del alegre pescador.
sus amores, donde tiene su querer. Y esta cumbia que se llama El alegre pescador, la compuse una mañana de sol.
El pescador habla con la luna, habla con la playa, no tiene fortuna, solo su atarraya.
El pescador
Habla con la luna,
El pescador,
habla con la playa,
el pescador,
no tiene fortuna, solo su atarraya.
el pescador,
Habla con la luna,
el pescador,
habla con la playa,
el pescador,
no tiene fortuna, solo su atarraya.
el pescador,
Habla con la luna,
el pescador,
habla con la playa,
el pescador,
no tiene fortuna, solo su atarraya.
el pescador,
Habla con la luna,
el pescador,
habla con la playa, no tiene fortuna, solo su atarraya. El pescador habla con la luna, el pescador habla con la playa, el pescador no tiene fortuna, solo su atarraya.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Beautiful.
I love this arrangement.
Beautiful. Yeah, yeah. Not Forró,
Not Colombian
Clearly.
music.
but a beautiful, beautiful song. Just incredible. Just incredible. All right, let's bring her on. The one, the only, Magda.
Magdinha.
Hey.
Yeah, not Forró, but I have to say, somehow I feel, when it comes to some anticipation, some syncopation on the thing. It's been a while since I listened to this song. Actually, I was enjoying it so much. What
Yeah.
a great feeling to have done something in the past, listen to it, and actually like it.
That's
So-
an accomplishment. That
Yeah.
doesn't always happen.
It almost never happens. So I'm thinking, you were pointing about. I made my notes. Chachado,
Look at
About
you.
the bass on
Wow.
the bass on 4, and I was like, ting, ting, boom,
Ding,
that
ding,
feeling, So
Exactly.
I think for me, coming from the Greek culture, which is the pulse is there and everything, the bass is always usually on the pulse. It's like so the syncopated rhythms of Colombia or Brazil for me are just so kind of connected and also just fascinating.
Yeah, we talk a lot about it on here, but this idea of like the pulse has to be there in order for you to really feel the music, and it's in the melody. But what makes these styles of music so unique and so awesome and so danceable is that you have this kind of syncopation on top of it that like doesn't mean anything if you're not feeling where the pulse is. But if you can somehow like create the contrast, the rhythmic contrast between like where the emphasis is and where the pulse is, then all of a sudden that creates this kind of like rhythmic harmony essentially between these two things. The relation between those is what's super important.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of different styles that all have that same.
Yeah, around the world. This is very
All
powerful.
around the world.
This
Yeah,
is so
for sure.
human. It's so human.
Yeah. I mean, Greek music, we all have tons of songs in that groove.
Yeah.
Τα παρόμοια ψαροβάρκα του μωρό μου, τα παρόμοια ψαροβάρκα.
Ah,
So,
it feels like we're on
yeah.
the veranda again. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
Oh man! All right, let's get into this thing for real, like a real show. Check this out. Want to start with a little bit about Forró?
Questions.
We got questions for you, all lined up and ready to go. So, how did you come to find Forró music, and what drew you to it in first place?
Well, the discovery has been gradual, I think. I don't remember the first time. I don't remember the first time that I came across it, but
Just kind of seeped into you.
yeah, I think so.
It was
Maybe,
via Luis Gonzaga.
yeah,
Recording.
I think Marcelo, our friend Marcelo, sort of like showed me this part of Brazilian music, and it was when I heard Sabiá by Luis Gonzaga. I was like, oh my God, I love this. What is this? And it, apart from the music, it also, for me, I have synesthesia, so I see a lot of color in music and in sound. So the more colors I see, usually the more attracted I am to the music. And when I heard Luis Gonzaga, I would like splashes of like red and yellows and greens and blues everywhere. So I think Luis Gonzaga, yeah, was the first person. But then I think something that may become again and again during this beautiful session is that up until I stepped my foot on the Forró that we went in Rio, I had no idea, you know. And I think this is a reoccurring thing for me as far as Brazilian music is concerned, because I always loved it. I loved the language, I loved the music, but when I actually stepped my foot on the actual country, I discovered that I knew nothing. I knew nothing.
Yeah, you can only do so much from afar with that. You know, I felt the same way the first time that I went down there as well too.
Yeah.
Because I had been like at the University of Miami, I was doing a Brazilian ensemble, and I was like teaching this course as well too, without never having gone to Brazil. You
Yeah.
know? And I was well versed into it, and it compared to other people maybe there at the school, but it wasn't until I got there and I saw the depth of it, and then also just like all the things that surround the music. For example, like Luis Gonzaga, you say that like the music of him brings certain colors to you. That just by listening to it is one thing, but when you see the guy and you see the in the hat and the accordion on his chest and the whole thing and the sunglasses, sometimes it's like, what is this? Like I didn't hear this in the album, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And once you go there and you're in front of it, it's something else entirely, you know.
Mm-hmm. Like a very distinct memory was a Ground Up Festival #1. Carlos Malta was there, and the group had this zabumba player.
Dorval. That's the exact
That was
guy.
Dorval?
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
exact
the
guy.
guy we showed. Yeah.
The wizard.
The feet, and I was like on the front of the stage. It was like 3 a.m. It was party time. I was right on the front of the stage, like knocking myself out, dancing like
I
crazy.
vaguely remember this.
Yeah. And I was right at the level of his feet, and I would just like watch how he was playing and how his feet were moving, and I mean that was like a film of its own, a world of its own.
Yeah, that guy just is music in general. It's really incredible to watch him play.
This guy is the forró in person. And much more. It's curious that outside Brazil, one of the melody more famous is Garota de Ipanema, Girl from Ipanema.
Mm-hmm.
Né? Olha que coisa mais. But inside Brazil, it's not so normal. People know this melody. The melody people more know here is Asa Branca by Luis Gonzaga. Quando olhei a terra arder. Na, 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 na. This is a melody more famous than, and it's very nice that you came to Brazilian music in following Luis Gonzaga, because it's very normal to go. The people outside Brazil comes via bossa nova. And I don't have anything against bossa nova, but this is very small thing from Brazil. You know, it's very beautiful and beauty, but. I think we have a very rich rhythm, and forró is one example, and samba as well.
Mm-hmm. Or even all the songs that we were experiencing at the Samba do Trabalhador when we went to all these. I mean, I didn't know any of them, you know. And what Brian is saying is that there's some things that you cannot learn from afar, but also you can go there, take this information, leave. I guess that's what you've been doing for the past decade or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Go, then the world opens a little bit, and then we research and we discover more things, and then we go back maybe, and then get deeper, and
Yeah,
then
for sure, because you
And
come
the-
back with a different perspective.
Mhm.
And it's very nice your way, Magda, in your career to mix influence. It's very
Mhm.
natural, like you. And the Brazilian is one of these influence, but you have much more influence. It's very beautiful how the things
Yeah.
mixing.
Man, that segues perfectly into the next question, Bernardo. Jesus Christ, you're on fire today. You perform a wide variety of styles. What kind of place does Forró have in your heart or your art or both? I don't know. There's a joke in there somewhere. I screwed it up.
I feel that you should have like some pandero, like a small
Like a little
sounds.
animation.
Yeah. To match kind of like when you have the text.
I'll talk to the producer about it. We'll see what we can do.
What kind of places photo? Sorry, I missed the question.
We'll take it.
Having your heart or wow. Maybe the simplicity, the earth of it, like the ground. Like I feel that this rhythm and this style has to do. It's physical. It's of the ground. It's not something that's here. Maybe it's here a little bit. But I think that personally, I live here too much. So maybe it's a reminder to live everywhere but here, everywhere else.
There's a whole other world out there within you. Yeah.
And maybe a good example, very good example, something that I also tell, whenever I'm with students or friends, or when we talk about what to do before a show. I don't know. Do you guys remember when you invited me to play in this photo session with Sucupira?
Yeah.
And I know you want to talk about it a little bit more later, but
No, we can go now.
I was super nervous.
I
So
remember.
I come from a classical background. Before you play, you concentrate, you warm up, you practice, you go to the room all alone. So we went to this beautiful environment, so cool. It was like dirty
Lapa.
dancing, but Brazilian.
Yeah.
And people were like alive, and everything was so alive. And I found the furthest corner
I remember.
and sat down with my little accordion and practiced, so I can get the notes right. And then you guys both came to kind of like tell me, come on. Come on.
That's what you're here for. You're gonna
And
play
then-
Forró. You got to play Forró. That's the whole night.
Just relax, enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Bernardo, I think I remember those words. You said that before you go on stage, be in the place where you will give after. So be in the place where at some point you will give to. I remember it still. So I grabbed a beer and sat behind near the stage, and I enjoyed the music that was being played before I went up on stage, and I danced a little bit, and I socialized, and I relaxed, and I was part of the celebration. And then when it was time to go on stage, I was already part of it, and I was ready to give in a different way.
Yeah. It's
So
hard to
I-
go cold.
Yeah. So that was really special and memorable, that
That was a
moment.
fun night. Do you have that one queued up, Bernardo? Do you have that clip?
There's a clip. Oh my
Play
God.
in Facebook, no.
No.
You have-
It's somewhere around here. Maybe I'll do some digging. Bernardo, drive it a little bit.
No, let's put when you search, let's show the Vem Morena. That's a very beautiful version by Banda Magda.
Oh, you got that one there? I was gonna go look up. Yeah, look at you. Fantastic.
Sorry.
É morena para os meus braços, é morena, vem dançar. Quero ver tu requebrando, quero ver tu requebrar, quero ver tu remexer. Se for por essa folha tem que se raiar. Quero ver tu remexendo, se fôlego dessa fonte que sorraia. Nossa, teu fogato quente, no peito do meu pescoço, arrepia corpo da gente, faz bem eu ficar moço, e coração de repente, bota o sangue em alvoroço. Vem morena, presa nos braços, vem morena, vem dançar, quero ver tu requebrando, quero ver tu requebrar, quero ver tu remexer, o fôlego dessa fonte que sorraia. Quero ver tu remexer, o fôlego dessa fonte que sorraia. Esse teu sorriso arcado é gostoso, tem sabor, pois o teu corpo suado, que me cheiro de flor, tem um gosto temperado dos temperos do amor. Vem morena pros meus braços, vem morena pros meus braços, vem morena pros meus braços, vem morena pros meus braços. Vem morena pros meus braços, vem morena, vem dançar. Quero ver tu requebrando, quero ver tu requebrar, quero ver tu remexer, os fôlego dessa fonte que sorraia. Quero ver tu remexer, os fôlego dessa fonte que sorraia. Esse teu flor sarcado é gostoso, tem sabor, pois o teu corpo suado, como esse cheiro de flor, tem um gosto temperado dos temperos do amor. Vem morena pros meus braços, vem morena pros meus braços, vem morena pros meus braços, vem morena pros meus braços.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That's beautiful. I love it. It's like the eye contact arrangement. Incredible. Incredible. So beautiful.
Thank you.
Now that's a forró. That's a forró.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's changed so much.
No, I think this is a very good. I would do the same if I would play Greek music, for example. I
Yeah.
think I would not try to be Greek, you know. I would
Yeah.
mix with my influence, and I think you do very natural this way, your way, you know.
Yeah, it's tricky, you know. Some things work out better than others. For me, I think actually you showed two very good examples, Pescador and Ben Morena. These things start as almost like a need to hear it the way I hear it. I don't know how to, like when I heard Pescador with Totola Mopocina, I loved it so much. Of course, I blew my mind. I felt but I felt in that song a lot of nostalgia, like a lot of melancholic feeling. So I needed to hear it with this sound of the strings or this reharmonization, because that's how I heard it in my inner ear. I think that when this sort of like reimagining of something already existing comes from that place, where it kind of like it triggers to you an emotion that later on you want to translate, then it's a good place. What I think the failed attempts were more like, okay, I want to do a cover, I'll pick a song and then I'll figure out what I'm going to do with it.
Yeah.
You know, whenever I went this avenue, it just wasn't, I guess, as successful, I guess, as true, because it didn't come from a need,
Right.
an internal need or something that, you know, this.
A spark, you know, that generates.
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
need
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
But it's, I think it's kind of like because we also talk a lot on the show about like, you know, protecting a tradition of a regional music and expanding upon it, because the whole method is around that idea as well too. And a lot of what you do is around that as well too, because you're taking from these very traditional sounds and exploring in a new way. And when we talked with Michael League last week, we talked about this as well too, is that we kind of need both of those things. We need somebody to be pushing the boundaries, and we also need some people to say, no, that's not how you do it. We need purists as well too, because
You
that
need-
kind of
yeah.
bandwidth keeps it interesting.
You need the roots and the branches.
Yeah. Otherwise, you ain't got a tree.
Exactly.
So I think that's a very like modern style of approaching music, and it's part of just the weird place that humanity is in right now,
Totally.
with the ability to connect. I mean, Miami, we got Brazil, we got Greece happening, like we're in the same room, you know? And so like things mix just so much more freely now that we have to kind of like wonder and think about like how we mix these things and how we try and protect certain traditions and how we try and grow. Because the truth is that even though we think of these things as pure and traditional, they've gone through evolutions as well too, you know? Like Luis Gonzaga was a revolution at some point. You know, he was not,
completely revolution.
you know?
He's like Bob Marley from Brazil, like
Yeah.
create a style. You know?
So if you went to him and you told him like, oh, that's the way Forró is and the way it's always been, he would tell you, no, you're an idiot. That's not how it was. He changed things, you know? And so like, as we're trying to change things now, and as we're trying to mix all this stuff together, we have to be cognizant of what it is that we're changing, because otherwise you lose the thing that makes it interesting in the first place. But you also have to be kind of fearless about breaking these boundaries a little bit, you know, and in order to really make a musical statement that isn't just a copy of something else.
Yeah. I get some YouTube comments.
Everybody does.
Everybody does, but it's fine. I mean, they should be there.
Yeah.
I embrace them. I really embrace them. It's everybody's entitled to their opinion, you know. So yeah.
And that's what the internet is about. Everyone's opinions, all at once. All right, here's a little interesting question we're bringing from the comments. We got some big words in here, Adrian. Wow, look at you.
Do you understand paradigms with their traditional languages? And no, not. Wow. I could play an example actually.
Yeah.
I'm writing a song right now, and this is this is always what happens. The language does not have anything to do with the arrangement. The language has to do a little bit with the sound of the language. So
the musicality of it.
Like, for example, now I'm writing this new song. It's about summer, and it's a ballad, and I have a voice memo here that maybe I can share somehow.
Okay.
That could be fun.
Yeah, let's try it.
And so the melody goes a bit like this. So now the sound, when I try to speak in French, for example, it doesn't feel right because it's too closed. So I hear, the more as I vocalize, if there's like an an open or this, yeah. So los vocales, the vowels, and the sound, whether I wanted percussive, where I wanted more open sounds, the sound will determine the language. And then maybe a little bit of the lyric content of whether what I want to say is very open or whether it's something that is mysterious, maybe. So maybe a language that has a more closed sound.
It's going to give you that effect.
And yeah, so
how's Portuguese in this?
There you go.
You are saying
this song I'm gonna try to write in Portuguese, and I'm gonna
nice.
yeah. Portuguese is it's not it's on the line. Like I feel that Greek and Spanish for me are very open. The sounds are very open, and then French is more reserved, and then as far as the sound, and then Portuguese is open that melts somehow. It's kind of it's both.
Nice.
So it's and also so it's like the Portuguese language is like an instrument for me. It's like the sound is so powerful. It's like a percussion. It could be a percussion instrument. It could be woodwinds. It could be so malleable. I don't know. I love the Portuguese language.
Yeah, for sure. The first, Brazilian music that I heard, obviously I didn't speak or understand any of the Portuguese. And so to me, it was kind of exciting to just listen to it without the lyrical content, without the knowledge of what it's talking about in my head, and just listen to it as an instrument. And as an instrument, it's a damn good one. It's got like really incredible shapes and colors to it that I think really differentiate it from other languages.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, please.
No, you.
I don't remember with who I had a discussion very recently about lyrics and about the Beatles, and that also John Lennon and Paul McCartney, when they were writing songs, they would write, they would focus a lot on the sound as well. I don't know what this means, but it sounds right. Like it should be there because it sounds good there.
Yep.
Yeah,
wow.
So sound. I think for the sound of the lyric is another instrument. Yes.
Yeah, and if you're making an album like you do often that has a bunch of different languages on it, then you have to, expect that the listener is not going to understand all of these different languages. Like that's a very small audience that would be able to just understand everything that's going on, So then you're really treating it like an instrument, and it kind of highlights that in a different way. It allows the songs to have different colors from each other.
And maybe that's where the arrangement plays a role, because the arrangement then comes to sort of storytell and do the narrative for the meaning of the lyric. And sometimes it's been really successful. I remember there's this song Reine de Bois in the latest album Tigre, where I played it for a friend of mine who does not speak French, and they kind of like guessed very close, surprisingly, like magically close to what the lyrics are actually about.
Wow.
So I think it had to do with the arrangement, the timbres, the instrumentation, the harmony, the structure, then the arrangement can help for the narrative and the storytelling, for sure.
If you can incept an understanding of a language into somebody's head who does not speak that language, that's pretty powerful,
It's fun.
That's what it should be for. All right. So now I think we should definitely talk a little bit about like last summer and coming to Brazil for the first time. And get into that a little bit. So what was it like for you to come to Brazil after all those years of studying and performing its music? I remember very clearly, like the first day that you were there, you were just mostly shell-shocked. Because I think we picked you up from the airport, or I forget where we met you, but we took you to Ipanema.
It was 1 year ago, exactly.
Exactly.
August. Right?
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, right around there. And we took you to Ipanema, and you just stood out there on the beach, just kind of like aghast at what was going on and just trying to take it all in.
Yeah, I have some, I kind of like compiled some pictures. Maybe I can share my screen.
Nice.
Yeah, open them all.
Down at the bottom there should be a share screen.
Okay, let me try. Okay.
I love this. Bernardo, Brian, Magda family vacation hour. Let me get out the slides.
Okay, so this was that day, I think. We went to, I'm not sure if it was that day, but I remember you were telling me, I was telling you, we're not in the Mediterranean anymore. It's like we're not in Kansas anymore. So the waves were really big in Ipanema, and I remember I told Bernardo, hey, Bernardo, I feel a little scared going in. And then Bernardo said, you should be.
And, it's a healthy fear.
Yeah. So also experiencing the sea in that way, that it's something that you can be scared of, you know.
Yeah.
Then
Powerful.
you understand, maybe, you know, you read about Yemaya and all these Shemanja and all these tales and all these stories and the culture and the history and now it kind of makes more sense.
Yeah, the respect and the love and the fear that you have of the ocean, you know?
Okay, what else? This was the first day, remember?
Yeah, that's right. Our buddies from Cuba talking about the world getting smaller.
No,
Who were they playing with? Was it Chucho Valdez?
Chucho Valdez, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
and we went all together for like such a great walk all around. We went to the instrument shop.
Yeah.
Maracatu Brasil.
Yeah.
Maracatu Brazil, yeah. And it's just a day of music.
And cachaça, if I remember correctly, too.
Yeah, this. Remember this? I stayed in this apartment towards the end of the trip that had this view, and it's incredible. This is like early in the morning, writing and reading. This is the trio when we went to Pancha Azúcar. And this night, oh my God.
Yeah, Samba Trabalhador.
This vibe changed me forever.
So Bernardo, explain a little bit what Samba Trabalhador is, because it's a very special thing.
It's happened on Mondays, and it's Samba do Trabalhador. That trabalhador é worker. So it's a kind of a joke.
Brazil que eu amo.
Ironic, because it's on the work time.
It's like 3 p.m, right?
Yeah, and people it's playing samba just to show that this is a serious thing, to make samba and be happy and enjoy the life. It's something that Brazilian people take very serious.
Yeah,
and,
it's a job, man. It's a job.
Yeah. So it's fantastic the way I think of samba. It's in general this kind of music. It's playing in circle. The musicians stay in circle, and people are around, and we are very used to say, like, for example, then we have a stage and there is an audience and you play to the stage. But as we have influence from native and Africa, we have this spirit of a circle and be in circle and play. And of course, see the table. There is some water, but there is a lot of alcohol and people being happy.
And bacalhau and all the good stuff in life.
This is a culture, you like put food for the musician play, and people are happy, and then they drink more because they are happy, and then they are more happy now, and they drink more because they are now happy, and they drink more. It's a circle.
Yeah.
Saideira.
Saideira is a very important phrase, a very important word in Portuguese, which means one for the road, essentially. Sair is to leave, and saideira means it's the last one that you're taking to go. But the joke is that the saideira, you have like 20 or 30 of those before you actually end up leaving. Saideira. So saideira can last a good couple hours. But I think it's a really cool thing about that style of performance that's so interesting is that when we perform as musicians, generally speaking, we have that kind of wall between us and the audience that we put up by having a stage, and we're up here, and then the audience is down there. And in this setup, it's like you have the music happening here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and it just kind of like grows out very naturally. Because that's what would happen if you're like, this is what we did on Bernardo's veranda, you know? It's like the music happens here around the table because that's where the food and the beer is. And then it just kind of expands from there. And so it makes everybody else feel very much a part of it, you know?
Exactly.
Like there is no separation because you're all at the same hang, you're all at the same party, rather than it being a performance that's being put on for you, you know? No coming in from backstage or anything like that. None of that. Just sit, drink, play. And then everybody is singing, you know, throughout the I mean, you experience that. Like, it's just
Clapping
impossible not to.
hands
Just all a big part of it. The band is like really, you know, 400 people large if you count it like that.
Yeah. For me, it was very inspiring to see that happen live in many ways. And it kind of made me think a little differently. I mean, this trip changed my life, but especially the Samba do Trabalhador scene and the vibe and the emotion and the structure and the culture, made me think about how we as performers sometimes also maybe that also paired with the veranda hang. When we hang out in the veranda, somebody was cooking, somebody was playing. So when we play something, I don't know, maybe I'm used to, I play something and people are gonna listen, you know, they're just gonna be listening. And this feels like a living room situation, but it's very hard to put my finger on it, actually. It's like it releases a little bit of the ego in some ways.
Yeah.
Is that it's everybody. It's it's not for me. It's not for the guitar player next to me or the percussionist next to me. It's like this circular structure is everybody.
Yeah.
And beautiful, like, yeah, a release of the ego sometimes.
It's like a meal that you partake in, essentially, you know? Like, imagine, like, if we kind of ate on stage in front of people, you know? And they just sat there and they watched us eat. Wow, that was very nice. I like the way you chewed that, you know? Rather than it being a communal experience where everybody's coming to the table together. There's just something about that like taps into
and the joy
reason to
of
get music in the first place. Go ahead.
exactly, and the joy of looking at your bandmates. Like, I miss that so much.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when I play a show, I'm usually in the front and everybody's in the back. And so, you know, I think that maybe some experimentation and some inspiration from this kind of structure, stage structure, could be very interesting for, you know,
That's true.
projects.
There are, you know, theaters like that where you have it in the round and that kind of thing, and that makes it very accessible feeling. But sometimes
Family dinner is a little bit like this, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
very true.
For sure.
Family dinner from Snark Pup.
But
Yeah.
sometimes the simplest thing is just the best. Put a table in the middle. Done.
With a table in the middle. Yeah.
You know? And that just brings everybody in. Everybody knows what to do around a table. Like there's
Yeah,
there's no explanation necessary.
very well put.
You know? I miss that so much. I miss that that feeling of community, of being around that many people, of being able to perform, you know, that kind of stuff. I know you've been able to do some shows recently. How has that been?
It's been great.
Yeah.
I did 4 shows. One was in Barcelona, and the other 3 were in a festival in the Canaries.
Oh wow.
And I'm very glad I did it. And of course, it was fantastic to play with people again. My feeling is that yes, let's do it if it's safe.
Yeah.
Let's do it if it's safe. But I feel that there's many things that we can do besides that. I hope that there are many things that we can do. So I think that there's time. It's time to practice more, or write more, or compose more. So I'm glad I did them, but I also understand that importance is also to do it in a safe way, so that you can enjoy them, enjoy traveling. And as I said in the previous post, I feel that this also might be a wake-up call for venues and venue systems to develop a more sophisticated system to travel, so that we don't have this really archaic way of like one day here, one day there, planes and trains and fossil fuels. So I hope that it's an inspiration and opportunity to restart.
Yeah, there's something to be said there.
Yeah,
Because
develop something new. Yeah.
now we have to do it with such smaller amounts of audience, right? So rather than like trying to sell a bunch of tickets in one city and moving the next to sell a bunch of tickets, I think you posited this idea of going and staying in an area. For a while,
Stay.
you know? And doing several performances, doing residencies all over the place, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, more
And
community.
Exactly. And then the shows can actually be of a higher quality as well, too, because you're not like, this is the first time I've been on the stage and the sound check is happening and this thing is terrible. No, you can like set it up over the course of like a couple of weeks and really build something, you know? There's opportunity. There's opportunity.
Local guests. Yeah. Totally.
You know, it's going to, you know, this idea of it being like a new normal is kind of a weird thing, but it's also an opportunity for us to reimagine and change a lot of these ideas that you've been talking about, and make them into something that is a little bit more sustainable going forward,
Yeah.
and special in a certain way as well too. I think this is something that we're all going to get through, because we always do. Like, humanity just persists, and that's going to happen. We've gone through wars before, we've gone through plagues before, this is going to be something that we end up telling our grandkids about, that sort of stuff. But there is things to be done in this time that we wouldn't be able to do any other time. I mean, even just like these shows and stuff that Bernardo and I are doing now, with having these types of conversations in front of people, we wouldn't have stopped to do this before, So now it's time to like focus on the things that are important to do now, and that presenting themselves now, so that when we get back to like playing and going, we can say, oh, we made good use of this time, and we did something with it that made a difference to us and made a difference to others, hopefully as well too.
Lovely.
Let's go. Positive energy, people. All right. Speaking of positive energy, I think this is something that happened on that veranda as well too. You got to hear Dorival Caymmi for the first time.
First time.
Which is incredible, because that guy is like the godfather of Brazilian music as well too. But he's hidden. I didn't know him for a long time as well too. But man, the depth of that music. If you're out there and you love Brazilian music and you haven't heard Dorival Caymmi, we should type that out, because it's a hard one to spell in the comments.
The album she listened was Canções Praieiras. It is in the...
Which means?
It's just, canções, songs, praieiras, beach song. It's from 58. And at the same time, people are inventing bossa nova. Dorival Caymmi was making some kind of music very visual. He described it with a few words, and you can see a cinema, a movie. It's fantastic. And it's just guitar. Him playing the guitar, iron guitar, I think, like a strings
Steel
guitar.
strings, yeah.
And with a large voice. It's amazing. And Magda was very happy listening that.
Blown away. Yeah. Also because I felt the lyrics, the ocean. So many songs of his.
Can you sing one of them of him?
Yeah,
Very,
sure.
This vibe of sea,
Yeah, what's one of your favorites?
ocean.
My favorite is definitely O Bem do Mar. I'm enchanted by the song.
All right, let's hear it. Take it to the beach a little bit. We need it.
O pescador tem dois amor, bem na terra, bem no mar. O pescador tem dois amor, bem na terra, bem no mar. Bem na terra é aquela que fica na beira da praia quando a gente sai. Bem na terra é aquela que chora, mas faz que não chora quando a gente sai. Bem no mar, é o mar que carrega com a gente, pra gente pescar. Bem do mar, é o mar que carrega com a gente, pra gente pescar.
Lindo.
Beautiful. Oh, man. Let's go to the beach right now. Let's do that.
But so many songs about the ocean, and I think that's something we also talked about on that veranda, that terrace, that we should definitely, when I can travel, when we can all travel and be in that terrace again, we should definitely record this outdoor album in the terrace. What we talked about is that the connection with the ocean, it's another continent. It's the Atlantic is between them, Greece, Brazil, and yet how is it possible that I, a Greek person, never had been to Brazil, first time hearing Dorival Caymmi, how is it possible to experience such a connection? and such a, mhm, a deep understanding.
Yeah, because it's such an essential human thing, you know? I mean, there are people who go their entire lives without ever seeing the ocean, but the culture you come from and the culture that Bernardo comes from, obviously. I'm from Texas. The beaches are not so great. But, like, you know, so much of life is centered around that. And Dorival's songs are all about, I mean, they're not about the beach just because the beach is cool. They're about the beach because that's the way of life up there. Dorival is from Bahia, right, Bernardo?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And so in Bahia, which means bay, everything is centered around that ocean life. And like and the danger of going out into the ocean and not knowing that if you're going to come back.
Yeah.
E doce morrer no mar,
Tororo.
nas ondas verdes do mar. You know, like,
Sometimes there is a storm.
and that's why you should be afraid of the ocean. You know,
It's
going
sweet
back
to
there.
die in the ocean, right? They translate.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep. It's sweet to
Doce
die in the
morrer no mar.
ocean. Oh God, I love that kind of stuff. Just like the darkest but most beautiful. And his voice is so great at conveying that as well too. But I mean, like when you hear that music, you just feel like you're on the beach. You feel like you're in the hammock. You feel you smell the ocean. You feel the breeze. It's all built in there because it comes from a place of experience. You know, it comes from a place of like not writing about the ocean just to write about the ocean, but writing about the ocean because that is your world. That is like the everyday life of you, and the fear that inspires, the love that inspires, the comfort that it inspires somehow is all really deep and confusing and beautiful all at the same time, you know? And so like the people who like grow up around the ocean, there you go. That's a beautiful album. Go check that one out, everybody. The feeling of like growing up around the ocean and having that be an everyday part of your life is something that's very communal. And happens all over the world. And so when you tap into that energy, even if it's in another language, it connects, it communicates somehow. I miss the ocean.
Beautifully said.
All right, so when are we going to record that album? I love this idea. The
Come
album
on.
about the oceans. That one's waiting. That one's waiting to be done. Soon it will all come back. So,
Yes. But thank you, Brian Bernardo, for taking me to this great 10 days that changed my life.
First of a lot of
Yeah.
times.
All right.
Several times.
It's a
once you
deal.
go, you get
It
addicted,
was
and
just
then
the
you just
first.
have to go back.
Yeah.
It will call you back again. And that's the other thing is like, you went and you saw this whole big world, and that's just Rio and mostly Catechi and mostly that area. And Brazil is so
Yeah.
big beyond that. You know,
Yeah.
you can go forever and ever in that place and find new music and find new culture and new people, and it's an incredible place. So we'll have to get that bridge going again and bring more people down there, record on that. Bernardo, I guess you're going to have to stay in that apartment for a while.
Yeah. Let's
So
Let's record.
so that we can record an album there.
yeah.
So how is everything else going, Magda? I know you're going back to teaching here very soon.
Yep. Yeah. We already started preparing everything.
Right back into it.
Yeah, with passion. And
Very good.
yeah, and a sense of adventure I think this year needs. We need to be adventurous, not in a sense of like we're gonna go, I don't know, hang gliding, but but in a sense that it needs a little bit. We need to take maybe some decisions, some new viewpoints, new perspectives, new ways to, and just take it day by day.
Yep. Yeah, that's what it is. And I know you're going to find, ways to do that, to connect with people differently and to use these types of platforms as something that's going to actually help people.
Yeah,
rather
and
than
practice
being
my
negative.
pandero.
That's it. Exactly. So we're going to get you in that method, and we're going to quiz you, and we'll give you a couple of months, but then we're going to just start quizzing you. I'll send
No,
you
but congratulations, guys! It's so good, so good.
Thank
So congratulations! I wish you all the best with the method. May it travel a lot and may it inspire like millions, billions, gazillions of pandero players all over the world.
Spread the
And-
sickness of Pandero. The virus of Pandero.
No, don't say sickness. Come on.
Virus of Pandero. Pandero virus.
We
So
definitely
Magda,
will.
thanks a lot to be here with us. It was wonderful.
Wonderful.
I hope next time we can be physical together.
Yeah.
But
We'll be
it
back.
was very good to
Until
take this
then.
vibe again.
Yeah.
A little bit of this vibe we sharing here in Rio.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks so much for doing this. It was great to see you again.
Thank you both. Thank you for inviting me. I had such a lovely time.
Stay safe, stay musical. Everybody else out there, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us and reminiscing about Rio with us. It was really beautiful.
We'll finish with a classical version. It's not like a puppy fitting Magda.
Ah,
Okay.
beautiful, beautiful.
Right.
All right, see you all next week. Talk to you very soon, Bernardo, I'm sure. And
Valeu,
Magda, it was good
gente.
talking to you.
Thanks
Ciao,
a lot.
ciao.
Bye bye.
Είναι τόσο κακή σκοτεινό, η πόρτα σου κλεισμένη, το σπίτι σου παράξενο και η αυλή σου μυστική. Είναι τόσο κακή σκοτεινό, η πόρτα σου κλεισμένη, το σπίτι σου παράξενο και η αυλή σου μυστική. Είναι το παραθύρο κλειστό, τα φύλλα σφραγισμένα, με κύσο αγάπητο ντυμένη σκεπή. Είναι το παραθύρο κλειστό, τα φύλλα σφραγισμένα, με κύσο αγάπητο ντυμένη σκεπή. Ανοίξε το παραθύρο σου, ανοίξε το, άνοιξε να βγω, να φωτίσω μάστρα το βυθό σου, άσε με να βγω. Ανοίξε το παραθύρο σου για πλάτα, για να σε δω, άσε με να βγω. Είναι η ματιά σου γυαλινή, γαλάζια πορσελάνη. Θα πάρω μία πέτρα να σπάσω το γυαλί και να γλιστρήσω μέσα από το σπασμένο τζάμι, να βρω το φως που τρέπεται και δεν μπορεί να βγει. Ανοίξε το παραθύρο σου, ανοίξε το, άνοιξε να πω, να φωτίσω μάστρα το βυθό σου, άσε με να πω. Ανοίξε το παραθύρο σου για πλάτα, για να σε δω, άσε με να πω. Θα πάρω ένα κερί και αστέρια θα τους τάξω. Το δικό μου το κερί ποτέ δεν θα βραχεί. Και μέσα μες στη θάλασσα θα μπω και θα τα ανάψω. Το μαύρο του βυθού σου θα λάμψει θάλασσι. Ανοίξε το παραθύρο σου, ανοίξε το, άνοιξε να μπω, να φωτίσω μάστρα το βυθό σου, άσε με να πω. Ανοίξε το παραθύρο σου για πλάτα, για να σε δω, άσε με να πω. Απ' το παραθύρο σου ανοίξε το, άνοιξε να μπω, να φωτίσω μάστρα το βυθό σου, άσε με να πω. Ανοίξε το